So we have done some work in ArcGIS Online. We are amazed about business analysts online and the rich data tables you can find behind that map, and how to alter the map. But what if you're looking for local data? Yeah? So one of the problems we have with local data is, who's in charge of that? Yeah? Where would you go to find data? And that's a little bit like travels around the world, because you need to understand who is in charge and who is going to deal with the data. So if we're in Broward County, might be a good idea to take a look at the Broward County web page. If you deal with the city of Fort Lauderdale, it might be a good idea to go to the city of Fort Lauderdale. So now you have to understand one thing. All the GIS geeks there are delivering you nowadays data through cool looking web pages and maps on web pages. If you want that physical file for your own work on your own computer here, you might need to contact them or find what they call a download portal, GIS portal. And there are super modern ones and fairly not so modern ones. Yes, please.
I go over there all the time, and they're super friendly, and they will sell you, make you great maps, all kinds of crazy stuff. So,
yeah. I love the GIS people here. They're awesome. Yeah? They're usually mostly relaxed, yeah? Because they kind of know what cool things they do. All right. So what I want you to present is, we're going to the GIS web page of Broward County. We're going to take a look at what's on there. Then we're going to find parcel data, which is not on Broward County, but they are so friendly they actually tell you where to find it for free. And then we're going to take a very complicated look at data structures. Why? Because if you download the parcel data for Broward County, A, you download a lot, and B, you download only the parcel boundaries as a polygon and just two identifiers, like unique number and then the parcel ID number. There's nothing else in there. So now you're confronted with, I have all the graphics I want to show, but I have nothing else to show. No land values, no assessed values, etc. So you need to pull in data from, let's say, county's assessor's offices or from the Department of Revenue here in Florida. We're going to do that very slow, step by step. I've been halfway through the roadmaps. I know one, I think, is working with land uses and land values. Can I have a sign off show that who wants to deal with property values in their roadmap, in your project? All right, 4 or 5. When we're going to do this one thing, I'm going with you through the web page. We are doing the GIS data management at the end, or in a separate mini video I post probably tomorrow then. Because it's painful to do this for four students, and the other 22 students are just struggling to follow. Yeah? We're using this concept of table join. And the reason why I would rather have that as a separate video posted is it takes time, because you have like what, 300,000 and 700,000 points and connections. And you have to be careful in the complexity of the data management, so I will post this as a video separately. I will show you how to collect the data, but how to connect, we're doing a separate. The book does this example with smaller data sets. It's so much fun that if you don't set it up the right way, I killed my computer last night 3 times. Because I ran into a CSV file. Remember CSV files? We talked about that, comma separated file. This is how you download that stuff. I went straight into that, and database management in a CSV file means see you tomorrow night. It takes 24 hours or a lot of cup of coffees. So setting this up in a smart way will help. The smart way is cool, but let's do this in a separate mini unit. It will take you 5 minutes, maybe 10, because we have to wait on the computer. All right? That means you have more time to focus on proximity measures, buffers. Yeah? We have done all this drive time in Business Analysts, but we haven't done really stuff on Arc Pro with this. Let's find some cool points as an example and draw buffers around it. 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. Remember when we did the egg whites and the egg yolks dissolve things? We're gonna do this on the local machine here as well. All right? You ready? You excited? Let's deal with libraries and with hospitals, okay? Both we will need. All right. So one thing to do is I'm going to go to the webpage of Broward County, which is gis.broward.org. If you are in West Palm Beach, as an example, there's one project I've passed through that wants to take a look at Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. You need to take a look at their webpage. A lot of the data is available in Business Analyst Online. A lot. So if you look for demographics, you do not have to go through Broward County to get, let's say, demographics, age, and all that. You do not need to do this. If you want to do land uses, if you want to do, let's say, specific places like hospitals or libraries, you might want to consider that. All right. So we're in a GIS class, so we can jump over here that we do not need to understand what GIS means. And we can go down here to the download center. Do I record? Yes, I do. All right. So now, similar to the textbook, and maybe that 1-2 folders I gave you, you can see here a bunch of layer names. It says click to download. All right. We gotta use that. All right. So what I'm interested in is take a look at what they show you here. The cool part is now they actually give you the census tracts with the data inside. Remember I told you about parcels? Well, they give you here some data. We can take a look at that later. Boundaries, yeah. City halls, yeah. Colleges and universities, don't really care. But the cool thing is for playing around with this is something maybe, let's say, parks, county parks, county-owned parks in Broward County. If I click on this one, if you just hover on it, you can see in the bottom here, in the status, on my browser, it actually says Parks County ZIP. If I click on this guy, it pops up on my machine, because my machine thinks it's a regular zip. Yours might just start the WinZip thing again. On my machine, it pops up as in Parks County compressed tools, and now you can see why we're using zip files, because the legacy format nowadays for layers and data is the so-called shapefile. Yeah? There's a database table, there's a projection file to make the right curvature on the 2D, and other internal files. And that's the reason why you use a zip file to compress and package that up. That's the easiest and most convenient way, because on a regular computer it's just 3 mouse clicks. Technically it's a right click and then send to. Alright, we got this. Let's take a look. What else do we have? Hospitals. Location of hospitals in Broward County. Click on it. Loads it, pops up. You might just have a download right now. I want to keep those windows open because I do a simple drag and drop with the next steps. At least that's the plan. Well, what else do I have in here? Well, do I need libraries? Which one do I have? Hospitals, counties. Let's take a look at address points. Address points for most residential and commercial addresses in Broward County. All of the addresses in Broward County. So if I click on this one, that will take a while. Take a look down here. It's 32 megabytes. It's loading and loading and loading. So that at some point you get into large data sets. Therefore, it's really important again that you know where you managed all that. All right. Parcels. Please be careful and watch. Parcels is here. And it says parcel data is available from the Properties Appraiser's Office for free. Hey, yeah, free data. Great. Straight up from the machine. Like it. So I click on this. And it comes with the appraiser's office. Of course I accept free data.
It says 40 feet.
What?
It says 40 feet.
Oh, no. This is free data.
Okay, I trust you.
Hold your horses. Hold your horses. Yes, for a fee, but now read the fine print. Guys. It's free data. Go here and then click accept. What's the amazing part of the state of Florida? Beaches, diving, Nova Southeastern.
The Department of Revenue.
Department of Revenue. There's a thing in Florida where the state of Florida tries to really be transparent with what they do. So you can look up public salary for folks that work, let's say, at a public university, or you can tap in for all the counties of the state on the parcel data, not for a fee, no, for free. So, yes, data fee here, but it says our GIS parcel data submission is available at no charge at the Florida DOR, and they have this link here. So if I click on this one, I now come to the data portal of the Department of Revenue. No charge, just a lot of trees that define the data forest. And you need to understand which tree you want. Okay? So, if I am looking for data, parcels in, let's say, Broward County, my workflow is, if I can't remember where this whole thing was, I'm going to the GIS webpage of Broward County, gis.broward.org. I'm going to go to parcels. I'm going to jump through the web pages of the county appraiser's office, because I remember there was something with a link for free. Yes, please.
Can the GIS map just the parcels, or does it need a link of parcels to address?
Yes and no. You're going to get the boundaries of the GIS parcels. There's no address on it at this moment. We'll see that. We'll show that. Yeah? Remember, we have points, lines, and polygons. You're going to get thousands of polygons, and they only have the identifier of a parcel ID in there. Yeah? All right, so one step back. I'm now on the web page of the Department of Revenue. I can look through this, can take a look here as an example, and read all over that and get completely confused. Or they're getting even better. They say download tax rolls and GIS data here as a big button. They're doing a really good job. Sometimes you're lost somewhere in the data abyss, like 10,000 feet below. No, they're like scratching on the surface and you get the gold mine. All right, gold mine means I click on it. A little bit more to read. Disclaimers, examples. Yeah. Here, 3 types of data you can find on a property roll: name, address, legal, or NEL. There's also a NEP and an SDF. Yeah. That means there are different data sets we can use. You just have to make a commitment which one you want. Yes, please.
Can you go back one step? Phonetically.
Here. Download text roles and GIS data.
Yeah, I'm not getting a response.
All right.
I'll follow.
So it says here, download current assessment role and GIS data. I click on that, pops up, and it gives me two things I want to take a look at. Datas, big tables, and GIS data. Let's do the GIS data first. All right. Went through the Broward County's webpage, Appraiser's Office webpage. I'm on the DOR webpage in the GIS section, and now I'm looking at the GIS files and assessment roles. Other counties in other states might call it a little bit different. Yeah? Right now, we're going to do two things. We download the GIS data, and we're going to download the table we can link later into the GIS data. We can connect them with a spatial join. Database geeks, spatial join, table joins. Fairly simple. It's actually more complicated to set it up than to run it. Pro is a little bit complicated with that. I had a love-hate relationship with this machine last night. So that's the reason why I give you a separate video later. But I want to show you in the process of downloading, this is where you find this. Okay? Alright, so I go and click here on the map data directory. This will look different. It's called a file transfer protocol, FTP site. Lots of stuff that can confuse you. Go down here to 2018 as an example. Click on it. Lots of things that confuse you more. Because now you realize, man, there are a lot of counties in the state of Florida. But again, if you're doing West Palm Beach or Miami-Dade, you will find information for them in here as well. Miami-Dade County GIS department, brilliant people, love them. They're awesome. So now I'm going to click here on the Broward. And again, you see it's a .zip file. It's 613 megabyte as a package. That's big. Let's click on it and let it download. Yeah. Let me go back. See that? Let me go back. Department of Revenue webpage, roll data. I'm going to be on the text roll data files. Click on them. And then you have all these other data sections. I call that shopping for data. Takes a while to find, download, and maybe prepare. That's the reason why I want to shop everything right now, but I only play with the small ones for performance issues. Alright, let's take a look at if the NAL is in here. Last night it wasn't. Let's take the 27. Where was it? Here we go. Alright. Let's go here on the prelim NEL files, 2018. This is the folder.
What was your path to get there?
Department of Florida of Revenue.
And then the directory.
And I'm going to click here on the data directory. And now I'm going to take the 2018 prelim NEL files. Let's do this again. Department of Revenue. I'm in the GIS and the assessment role data. Down here, click on text roll data. And I'll find the 2018 prelim. Click on that. I get all the counties. Now I'm going to take the 2016 prelim NAL, N-A-L. Okay? Not the SDF, for the purpose of the training here, NAL. And click OK. on it. And it downloads. Broward 16, prelim Nell. And we wait a moment. Everyone got that so far? This is shopping for GIS data. Whatever topic you have in your post it in your roadmap. Roadmap as a policy document, that is what I want to do. Not literally a map on roads. Everything you present it in your roadmap for your project. Adult living, 55 plus. Specific income groups, competition places. For some of you, I'll ask you, hey, where do you have these addresses? Do you have these places? Someone is thinking about care homes, wellness centers. Huh? You got those numbers yet? You got those addresses yet? Because then you can use geocoding. Or you find maybe a web page that supplies you, or service agency that supplies you with A, the addresses, or B, even the geocoded already the GIS data. Huh? You do not have to reinvent the wheel. If it's already out there, you just have to find it. If not, we can make it. In the worst case, if you have 10 locations only and you found them through a telephone directory, we can use that. For 10 locations, you're better off with digitizing in Google Maps. It's faster. One window is Google Maps and the other one is your pinpoint a point on parcel of the address. Yes, please.
So these are big files, right? So if we plop them into our Pro, at what point do points get used?
Local operations should not use that. You're going to use online credit points for data processing use a tool for that. Should not be a problem. And one of the thing is, if you're looking at just a few properties here in the Davie area, you're not going to take all of the county. That's just bad data management. So one of the things we can do is, hey, we can simply select by hand, that's my area of interest, and then save them as separate parts, because that's we already done. Take a selection and export save as a new layer. So instead of 300,000 parcels that refresh every time when I move my map, I can select the 5,000 I really want to work with and save them as an extra file, as a subsample. There's no reason to go through 300,000 refreshes if you only need, let's say, 1,000 on your map. Remember the one example we had that shows only one squared extent of a map and not the whole US, because that's kind of computing powers and time.
You're selecting them by polygons or how you select?
There are different ways to select. We have done a few. I'll repeat them. Let's get the data first and then play more. All right. So my Broward pin parcel information just popped up again. You can see this is the same pattern. Bunch of those files. Yeah. The other stuff is probably loaded up already too. Yeah. All right. So let's clean this up a little bit. Clean up in a little bit, meaning I minimize my browser and I open up my file explorer and I double check my downloads. They're all in here in the downloads. If you miss them somewhere, they're in the downloads. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a new folder on my C drive. And for today I call it buffers. Okay. And then I click on the folder buffers. So you can see here I'm in my C buffers right now, which is empty. So dependent on if you use WinZip or regular zip, if it has the folders popped open or in your download folder. you would do a bunch of extract alls or copy and pastes. Yeah? What I'm going to do is I'm going to do that all on my machine right now. It's fine. I should take a minute or 2 minute break, and you can have enough time to do this as well, so you don't have to rush. Yeah? We have enough time to go through all these little exercises. All right, so I'm a drag and drop fan, so I'm going to rearrange this. On one side, I'm going to put my folder, which is my target, my C buffers. Okay? My Broward pin, my parcels popped up in this other folder here. Can you see that? Going to click here, shift, left click, highlight all, and then just drag and drop with the left mouse down over here.
Have you already extracted that data or not?
In my machine, it's automatically popped up. See this? This says compressed folder.
So we need to extract.
Extract. You also could, maybe you see this as downloads here. If you look at downloads, I would double click here on this one, and it's the same thing. Or
Okay.
right click on it and operate with the WinZip or whatever tool you have. This is, again, it's the same zip, unzip operations we have done before. All right? Same thing, I'm doing this again with my NEL table. Just drag and drop it over. Exit out. The address points here again, highlight all of them, drag and drop them over.
Now. Yeah.
The important file you need to do is hospitals, because we're playing with hospitals in the next tool. Hospitals, drag and drop, highlight all of them, drag and drop over. And to complete this, parks, drag and drop over. So if you look in your C buffers folder, it has all these crazy files in there. Gotta give you a moment to deal with that. Who needs help?
So you added hospitals and now the.
Everything I downloaded, I extracted, and I threw everything in the same folder. This is my project folder.
You do county.
I Parks and County, yeah. Park County. Here, Park County, yeah. Extracted. One important thing. If you don't feel comfortable to do this manually drag and drop with this data, because every file has its own purpose, use the tool, extract all, find location, just have the tool do the whole thing. If you miss manually copying, if you miss a file here, you will not be happy. This is the complicated part. The easy way is, if you find your data, you throw it in one folder. For the stuff we're doing in this class, it's gonna be okay. You might actually then end up in multiple folders or even a data management system. Right now, for today, the only craziness you need to have in this folder, the bare minimum, is the hospitals. Everything else is an additional extra chocolate and goodies. All right? You guys are holding up? Cool. So, now you have seen all the stuff on the Windows File Explorer side. So how does this look like in our catalog? And you're going to take that or quit it?
Oh, the time.
All right. So we're going to do this now in Arc Pro. It's a GIS class. So let's take a look at the GIS data. Arc Pro. This might look a little bit different. I need to sign out, need to change my account. All right, I'm going to start a new map. Click on the map and call it today My Buffers, so we don't get confused with all the names. And as the location, I'm going to set the location to my buffers on the C drive, buffers folder on the C drive. All right. Click OK. So this is my startup screen for my new project. Name it My Buffers. Location is called C Buffers. All right. Everyone with me?
You created this blanket map.
Map. If there's a good template, let's use the good template. No spaces. Your life is going to be miserable if you use spaces. Keep it simple. I really encourage you guys, take underscores instead of spaces, or just get lost off the with the space and just maybe capitalize it.
Is there any reason why OK wouldn't be highlighted?
You have buffers. You have it there. Alright. And click OK. So it does all that, prepares the project, prepares the geodatabase in the background for us. Yeah. Loads the map. Then we're going to take a look at Catalogue. Going to click on Catalogue. We're getting this kind of navigation tool here again. And we're doing what we have learned before. We're going to connect to our folder, our buffers folder. Add folder connection. And go to C Buffers. And click OK. The reason why I call the project My Buffers, you can see this is everything that connects to the project. This is your main level folder with all the data. This does not have to be in that same location for the project. If you would zip all of that and submit it to a friend or me for review, it's the best way to do. Because it's in one location. I can folder connect if I want to anywhere on my computer with this. See, I could go even users, my users, have this whole thing search, go through anything where I want to. It will be completely off-branched. Think about that. How often do you get in trouble with your jump drive having a different name as a letter? This looks complicated, but I'm pretty sure your life is more happy with this. All right, let's take a look at what is in the folder buffers. Takes a moment because it scans everything that is included in there. Yeah? If you have something in there which should be there but you don't see it yet, right click and refresh is your friend. Again, right click and refresh is your friend in some views of the data tables here, data views. All right, let's take a look at this. I have brought 2018 pins. That's stuff I have seen before. Yeah. I have the GIS address points. I've seen points before. Hospitals as points. Park and county or county parks looks like polygons. Yeah. Here I have the CSV file that we downloaded. We're going to take a look at this in a bit. Okay. What I want you to do right now is just to show you how big all that stuff is. I want to right click on the Broward data, Broward 2018, and say add to map. I also right click on the GIS address points and say add to map. First two. I did add to map. And I want to add the hospitals as well with right click on the hospitals, add to map. Then I go and click on the map. And hallelujah. How does this look like? Huh? Every time you pull in data from outside, which is not beautiful layout and designed, let's say the ArcGIS online stuff, you need to take charge on how to set this up for yourself. Yeah? Just to give you an idea, let's take a look at our data tables. How many parcels do we have in Broward County? Any idea? How would I find out? Attribute table. Click here, attribute table, open the attribute table, right click on it. Right click, attribute tables. Have it pop up. Down here it says 0 of 780,000. 780,000 polygons that are redrawn in an old system, not optimized yet. Huh? I say not optimized yet because you can optimize it and you can make it faster. If you have a powerful computer, it might help. If you have a server level computer, it might help. So there's a certain capacity issue we are looking at right now. Yes, please.
I'm still trying to start my car and go down Alligator Alley. I had to get the unzip folders into the place where I can work it. I can't get it there.
All right, I will help you in a moment. Yeah. So, what I want you guys to do is pop all the attribute tables open for all of the 3 layers in, and you can see already here for the Broward parcels you only see the parcel number. Play with it, give it a different symbology, change the colors. Yeah. Okay. Change the colors. Change the colors. Now we right click on this one and say it. All right. So, whenever you open data from external sources, do not trust that data. Be skeptical. Yeah? To be honest, who downloaded the Excel table for the midterm and then immediately open up Excel and take a look at it so you know what's going on? Good. We're going to do the same thing with the GIS data right now. Why? because I just did download the parcels for Broward County. I did not look up any other information because I was blue-eyed and thought, hey, I have all the data in there. I don't. If I look at this, just look at the parcels here, all the parcels. I apologize. This might look a little bit weird on that screen. Let's move things around. So all of this is Broward County, and it's drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing. This can be very annoying when you wait for a redraw. So hitting the escape button sometimes helps, or now you can also hit the pause button here. I rather hit escape because you might forget the pause button and you wonder, why is this not showing? Why is it not showing? All right, about 700,000 features in there, items or polygons. But I also see in my table, if I move up, I have a feature ID number and I have a parcel number. All right, so I could connect that with something else that holds parcel numbers. That's the mini video I show you because we have to deal with different technology first, different data management. Yeah. So just fair warning, this is a unique parcel number. If I happen to have a table that has that unique parcel number, I can join them. It's like if I would say in this classroom, everyone with last name Miller goes into that corner. All of the people of Smith go in that corner. I might be lucky and have families combined. Huh? So common denominators can be used to join elements and fields. I can't join by age, number 13. It doesn't work, but think about that. If I now find county appraisal data that contains the parcel number, did you just blow up the computer?
No. Smoke, right?
Huh? If you connect now the county's assessors table in a CSV format or other format for performances issues, with that, you get like 50 other values attached to that. I'm going to present that in a separate video. Short, combined, just for those who A, want to learn the table join, and B, for those who are interested in the numbers. All right, let's take another look. The GIS address points. Address points are awesome. All right, so why do I have address points along Alligator Alley? There are actually a address, but in a different format. It is very important to understand where you are if you have an accident. So if I would click on this point here, hopefully identifies it. It takes a time because there's large numbers, but this would be a mile marker. Yeah? And a lot of information about it. How many items do I have as address points in my database or in my layer? About 480,000. There could be places of interest, could be mile markers, could be 100 Main Street on top of the building. Yeah? So if you need to look up certain addresses, you could use that because that is the so-called standardized address. If you don't know exactly the address of a place, you could manually search for that. Huh? It also shows you the XY, the lat longs, when it was done, yeah, and other data inside. Just wanted to show you, okay, when we talk about geocoding, this is a reference layer a geocoder would use. We're going to show this only here. I'm actually going to take out address points and remove, because they just hinder some in the display right now. All right. Questions?
Okay, we could also merge this thing using longitudinal latitude, right?
I wouldn't do that because it's not unique enough.
Okay.
Because I could write the lat long as like period point, 4 digits, 6 digits, so the accuracy is off. I wouldn't do that. And the address points are already in your map. You don't need to geocode them because you have them already. What the geocoder will do for you, let's say the ArcGIS Online geocoder will do for you, is it takes your 100 in Main Street, looks in the big black box where it was, probably takes those address points because they shared public data, runs it in against it, and spits it out as a point. Remember, geocoding is input an address or a description and then get to the location on the map. Doesn't matter if it's lat long, X, Y, whatever, or the physical shape of that point. Alright? Alright, so let's do hospitals. Click on our hospitals. Do you see this good enough, well enough? Do I need to change my symbols? Bunch of hospitals in our area. Alright, what do I have in my data table? First step, I explore my data. This takes time, but it's sometimes really exciting because you really learn what's going on. And you're like, hey, I've seen this file before, or hey, I know exactly what I'm looking for. So, what I do, right click on this one, do attribute table. Alright. So, if I look at this, I see the name of the hospital, I see its address, I see the phone number given, and then something down here, lat long, US and G. I don't care right now, you never need to know that. It's the US national grid. Think about it, the whole universe is 1 meter by 1 meter grid numbers. Yeah? So every computer here would have its own little grid. Meaning if I know exactly that number, let's say here there's a different regions and different codes. If I know exactly that number, that is like a phone number I can dial in and it targets a specific location in the world. Speaking of cruise missiles. Or in my case, I am a big fan of USNG because I used it for fire hydrants and other assets in Cincinnati in Ohio. Yeah, because there's a chance that there's only one fire hydrant close by in that 1 square meter grid, 3 by 3 feet. All right, cool. What else do I see in here? I see total beds, acute beds, and emergency department on trauma as well. Yeah, and I'll scroll down and you can see, okay, fine, they're actually populated, which is really great because I want to search for the hospital with the highest amount of beds. How do I do that?
Right click, sort something.
Alright, I have one manual method which is cool. I have one other method which is a little bit more smarter and fast, more elegant if you deal with thousands and thousands and thousands of numbers. For a small data set like we have here, 26, yeah, you can right click, sort, find 744 and just say highlight, and you can see it popping up here, St. Andrews, Broward, what was it? Broward Channel on St. Andrews Avenue. Huh? I can do that for 1. I can do that for 2 or 3. If I say, hey, everything that is larger than 500, I can do with shift and string, I can select those manually. That works for 1 item only. If I now say, hey, I want to add additional variables for the decision, let's say emergency department, yes or no, or I want to select what is in the city of Hollywood, I'm going to get a little bit in trouble when I move out of the 26 data points. Think about that. If you have to scroll your table, there has to be a better opportunity and better way to deal with this. All right. One way to deal with this is to clear out. Is how do I select a table? Third part of the midterm. Select by attribute.
Select the attribute.
I use the select by attribute tool. And say I want to select from the hospitals as a new selection everything where my beds, total number of beds, is greater than 500 as this example. And if I click run, it selects those 3. It even shows 3 of 26 selected, might show it down here on the right. But I also can go now and say, I only want to show the selected ones. See these buttons down here? All of the features, now just the selected ones. If I unselect, if I clear, my table will be empty because nothing is selected in here. Do you want me to repeat that?
Yep. Yes, please.
All right. So if I ask my table, my hospitals, please select every hospital that has 500, more than 500 beds total. I use the select by attribute tool to run a question against the table, a query, select the hospitals, and I say an add clause, where clause. You say, I want to select all the hospitals where the number of total beds is larger or greater than, let's say 500. Add the clause. Now it says total beds is greater than 500 and hit run. Takes a moment and it selects 3 in our data set.
Okay. This happened to me on the test too. It doesn't give me. It doesn't do that. I did everything you just did, and it doesn't.
Did you close to?
I got it.
Did you close this here with add?
I didn't go to just the ones that are sitting.
All right.
Got it.
So now I could do some fun stuff with these. I will come back to that. All right. I want you to introduce you to a tool called buffers. The whole project is called My Buffers. So let's do some buffers. All right. On the Analysis tab here, click on it. I have a bunch of usual suspects. One of my usual suspects is buffers. It says, create buffer polygons around input features to a specific distance. So we're going to do exactly what I don't want you guys to do in Business Analyst. We're going to draw circles. Sometimes drawing circles is good enough for visualization purposes or data management. Visuals is really good, particularly if you have overlaps. All right. So what we're going to do is going to draw a buffer around the hospitals. Oops. Here we go. So this is our hospital. What we're going to do is we're going to tell the hospital location here. We're going to draw a 1 mile buffer around it. Actually 3 miles. For this example, we're doing it upside down. 3 miles. So we will have multiple hospitals over the place. And we're going to tell the system, hey, if you overlap, dissolve the boundaries. It's about brunch time, so let's do eggs again. Remember, we did put some eggs into the frying pan. This is what we're going to do. For visualization, I'm going to change this here, take away the screen. So all these dots, let me change the, make this really bright for you guys. All right, so these are the locations of my hospitals. Yeah? I'm going to use the buffer tool, and I'm going to use 3 miles analysis buffer. And before I start, there's always another way to open up the tool. The complicated way is go through tools, toolboxes, and find this here. I do encourage you guys and play with these tools and take a look at what they mean. You don't have to use it, but just the idea that there's a special tool you could use for your project helps. All we're going to do today is this stuff. See, all this, we're taking one tool only. So I activated this way, or I go here on the top level, just here on this nice little icon, buffers. All right, same tool. And I start talking to myself again. I want to render buffers around the hospitals with a distance of 3 miles. Yeah. So I'm going to select as input features my hospitals. All right. It automatically creates a name with the underscore buffer at the end for me. For the purpose of demonstration, I'm completely fine with this right now. If I want to maintain complete overview, I would probably right now like BUF buff 3M for 3 miles. Right now, I just want to show you the process through the tool. And then we go back and do it again and again and again. All right, everyone got that? I'm here in the geoprocessing buffer tool. Input feature is hospitals. I have it named automatically. You can see when I hover over this, it puts it into my project and manages everything for me. That's the reason why you want to make sure that at the beginning of this project that you know exactly the location where you work with. All right? And I'm going to use 3 miles as a distance unit, and I will tell the system use miles as distance. All right? Do not click OK or run yet. Right now you're producing a bunch of hospitals and in our example lots of fried eggs. Right now the egg white is not melting together and dissolving together. So I need to say I want to dissolve this. There are different ways to do this. Right now I want to do the dissolve all output features into a single feature. All the egg whites are one. And again, I'm sorry if you guys are hungry maybe, but this is the best way to visualize that. Fried eggs, not scrambled. Sunny side up. Is it sunny side up? Easy side? Sunny side up. 14 years later, I finally learned that. All right. All these input factors, I'm clicking run, and I'm going to move this away so you can see this, how it ends up immediately once it's done. Takes a moment. And boop, I have a bunch of egg whites displayed in blue. All right? But you also see that these guys here, as an example, are very close, and there's no boundaries in between them. Same thing here. But you see here, the 3 mile radius distance, or as the crow flies, like literally you jump up a helicopter and fly there. Yeah. Here, it's a gap, 3 mile gap here as well. Yeah. So you could argue, well, the new hospital on campus will fill that gap for certain problems. Or maybe I'm missing one hospital here that didn't display. Huh? All right. So this was the example for 3 miles dissolved buffers. So what if I'm really interested in What's the coverage of specific type of hospitals or by their size? All right, you with me? Let's combine a few things. I am able to select a hospital by its size of total beds. Can I do buffers around that hospital then? Yes, I can. You want to see how? Let's do it. All right. And I know, guys, this is not an economics example. This is not a real estate development example. But it is part of the easiest way to show you select something, buffer something. Now you have visuals and data opportunities for anything you want to do. Huh? It doesn't matter if it's nuclear power plants, hospitals, or kindergartens. If I want to measure the distance between them or for them and select something else later, this is the way I can do. All right? Hospitals, more than 500 beds. We tested that. That should be 3 hospitals. Let's do that. I go to map, select by attribute, and say here, now you have to be careful, select from the hospitals where my total beds are larger than 500 or greater than. That means greater than does not mean it equals 500. So if I have one hospital with 500, I exclude this right now based on that clause. Okay? So greater than 500, click add, click run, X out the tool. Now you can see 3 hospitals are selected. Okay? Can you see those? Now I go to the analysis tool and click buffer.
When you chose the layered name of your table, there's hospitals and there's
Hospitals and hospitals buffers. I used hospitals
How did you know which one to use?
because I'm in control of my data at this moment. I know from my task I want to select from hospitals the hospitals with total beds more than 500. Look, if I go to hospital buffers and take a look at my attribute table, I do not have the information about the beds in there because it's only a visualization and coverage area right now. I need to know which table I will take. Huh?
And I'm sorry, the buffer is the ring around the hospital.
Yeah. That's one example we did. The blue ones here on my screen right now are all hospitals with no prior selection, all hospitals 3 miles dissolved. That's the reason why you get this kind of fluid areas here. All right, the next step again was select by attribute, total beds larger than 500. Everyone got that? In our example here we have 3 highlights. I'm using the buffer tool. And I say hospitals. I call it a little bit different now, just to make sure I don't get confused. Hospitals buff 1M for 1 mile. You can get completely complicated with naming conventions here. Be distinct in your names. That you and someone else is taking a look at it and immediately knows, okay, fine, this is something about hospitals. 3 miles, 2 miles, etc. All right, I want to buffer 1 mile only. Pardon? And I will say it's miles again. No dissolve. I want to show you the other part of the tool. Okay? So I selected 3 from the table. I'm pointing at this table, which is in hospitals. I create a new output feature called right now buff1m, and I use 1 mile linear distance. Here, you can actually do distance. And I click run again. It does create for you an automatically layer.
I know that, but I'm saying for the hospitals that are selected.
No. You can use your active selection of these 3 hospitals and run a buffer against it. So you get the little blobs here. Yeah? But the selection is only temporary. If I want to show only those 3 hospitals on the map, the simplistic way would be export, copy, save.
I don't know. I have a lot of blue.
You got a lot of blue? Did you type 1 mile in, or did you type more than mile? I will help you in a second.
Can you demonstrate that?
What? There's 3 hospitals? All right. I have an active selection here on the hospitals. Can you see that? Active selection. Hospitals. I right click on it, say data, export, and say 3 hospitals. 3. Clean up. Only have 3 hospitals.
So when you're sending out that file, you're only sending whatever that feature layer is. So when you go data and then you go.
If I say data, export features,
Yes.
there are 2 different scenarios. One, I have nothing selected. I copy this whole thing. Or I have a subsample selected, like 3 hospitals. I will copy the 3 hospitals. Yeah? So in the midterm, if you actually exported this with less than and larger than something 14, 15, you exported that, you created actually the physical locations of that. Alright? Any questions besides thousands of blue things on your screen?
Not thousands.
You want to do another example? Because I'm thinking to actually dismiss class so you guys relax a little bit.
So I did the 3 little, but I don't know why all that. Thank you.
Alright. If you guys want to, I post 1 or 2 small examples for other fun data with this. You are the king and queen of GIS if you understand select by attributes. They're able to buffer around that with, let's say, 2 different ways to buffer. And then, if you want to go completely nuts, let me show you one thing. Remember the address points? What if I have the address points and I have my 3 buffers I just created?